Alrighty, I see a few folks piling right away for the live stream here. Please make sure you get your questions in that panel for me right away. I see a number of the folks that are joining here are joining us on Twitter. There is a link to join the YouTube side of this if you like. So feel free to join us on the YouTube side. Happy to have you over here. Get some questions in here for me. Happy to answer any and all questions related to trade ideas. And we got a general market question. You can always throw that in there as well. So as always, don't be shy, folks. Don't be shy. I'm going to give another moment here, let people join in. Find us on the YouTube side of things. In fact, let me find a link for the YouTube side here. I'm going to post it where I'm streaming from on Twitter. Again, anybody with questions, don't be shy. Get those in here for me. And then let's see. Get a chat here. All right, we're looking good. So we'll get rocking and rolling here. Doesn't seem to be any questions off the bat, but an okay crowd so far. We'll see if we can't pick up some numbers for us. All right. All right, let's get rocking and rolling here. No questions coming in yet. But again, folks, it's open forum, so don't be shy. Get questions in for me if you have them, right? I cannot answer the questions that are not asked. Let's see. Let's, I don't know if we've taken any market tours recently. But here's why all that matters is price action, right? Anybody that's paying attention to the markets and maybe follows any kind of market personalities out there, I would suspect that you're going to find more people that had been real bearish and were telling you about a crash that was coming and it's over and all that stuff like that, right? Especially after this down day here. It looks like a good sized red bar, but when we put it in perspective of the overall market, really actually not that much damage done. Not really any damage done, to be honest, especially considering we've been up and away, right? And, we got a bounce and a pullback and a bounce again, right? And so it's been several weeks since that, and we still haven't crashed, right? Still waiting for that big crash. Now, are we going to just rip into new all-time highs? I don't know. Maybe. Could we continue to fall back down again? I don't know. Maybe. But what we didn't do was just immediately crash like so many fools out there were calling for. So just be careful who you're paying attention to and who you're listening to. Fear sells, right? They're not out there to make you money. They're just out there to sell subscriptions and, bull crap like that. So as real traders, as real risk managers, we want to be here patient, waiting for our setups. And this is the kind of talk you hear all the time, but, to give some examples of, real waiting for setups, right? Let's look here. Robinhood, right? Ran sideways for a hot moment here, right? And as everything else was selling off, this continued to be strong. And a breakout there would have been a great opportunity to get into it. Now, it's easy to look back and say things like that, but this is the kind of setups you want to be looking for, right? And it doesn't matter if it's on a daily chart or a 5-minute chart, right? That's the kind of stuff we want to be looking for when something is not getting dragged with everything else and it breaks out on its own, just like that. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for. And that's what we're looking for on every single time frame, right? So don't get caught up in that ridiculous fear porn out there and, oh, we're going to crash and all those things like that. We will have a bear market. It will happen. It won't be today, the bear market. We could be in the makings of one starting. Things could continue to sell off, but they've bounced, they've held so far, and we'll just have to let price dictate what we're doing, not some schmo out there that's screaming into the void about how everybody's going to lose all their money. The Qs, have a similar look here, maybe a little less of a bounce than what we've seen on the SPY. But here's what I saw this weekend that I thought was actually really fascinating. The diamonds, they set a record, or were close to a record. It was, 9, 10, 11 days down in a row or something like that here. And that made this sell off here a bit more significant as this happened. It was a real cascade, right? And the bounce for this wasn't as much of a bounce as the Qs or the SPY had. And then it came down here and took out, that level right there. But look at the bounce that it's now had, right? And it looks like it's breaking back up into that 440 level. And, strong close today would be hard to argue it not wanting to test those all-time highs again, right? So make of these things what you will. Are we full-blown headed for all-time highs on that? I have no idea. Nobody knows. But we're not crashing today. We didn't crash last week, and we're unlikely to crash this week, shortened holiday week. So keep those things in mind. Again, folks, this is it's an open forum Q&A, right? So folks have questions, please get those in for me. As always, this isn't meant to be just me talking about whatever to you folks. I'm going to talk to fill the air space while I'm live here, but I much prefer if you folks are answering or asking questions here in the live stream. So don't be shy. Please get questions in for me if you have those. Very good. So with all that said, I also took a look at the IWM the other day. It was over the weekend. And for anybody that's a subscriber to our swing trade alerts, I've been doing a video most weeks. Video got left out this week, some technical difficulties, but it's not normally part of the swing picks. I've been adding it recently as a little extra something to add in there. I don't know if we'll keep doing it, but I've been talking in those videos ad nauseum about this 220 level on the IWM. And what we talked about is whoopsies, where when we were trying to break out of this IWM sludge that it had been in, we got a whoopsie and a whoopsie, right? Until we finally did it. And then we made new all-time highs here at the end of November last year, right? And then I talked about, is this going to be a whoopsie or not? And for the moment it is, because this 220 level is a very, very, very watched level on the IWM. We go back on a weekly chart, right? We can just see how big that level is. I want to get rid of this browser interface real quick. That's better. There we go. So we can see I've got a line around that area. Let's bring that line up a little bit. There we go. All right. So what I want to look at is way back here, coming out of COVID like a cannon, and it was just fighting along that. Popped up, then it came down here. Bear market. Rest of the market starts to recover. IWM does not start to recover until later, right? And so now it's back fighting that 220 level again, just like it was back here. So it's a really, really, really significant level, right? How do you trade with stop loss and profit taking? How do I trade personally? Is that your question? I base it, I'm going to answer it based on you're looking for my answer on that. On intraday charts, generally I'll be looking at a low of the day or around VWAP for a lot of my stops, more than less. Those are kind of what I do intraday wise. As far as managing the upside of a trade, In my head, I have a target that I'd like to see, but if it looks like price action's starting to wobble, I'll get out of a trade. So for example, let's just pretend for 1 second, my target on this was 230 and we're at 229. We're struggling here at 229. I'd likely, if let's pretend I have 100 shares, I'd probably close 50 of those shares right now, to be honest. That's me. That's what I personally do. Daily chart, I look back at support and resistance areas and what I think is a viable area that if I'm wrong, I want to be out of the stock. And then the same thing, I'm looking at prior resistance here. And, if I get there, that's great, to the upside. If it starts to struggle again, I'm likely to close some or all the trades. That's how I do it personally. It's each individual has their own plan. I'm simplifying things a bit here, but that's the general short and skinny of all of that. So if you have other questions, of course, get those in. Anybody else with questions, please get those in too for me. I'm not sure if the Twitter side allows for questions. Maybe it does. But what was I going to say? Oh, but back to my my thoughts here on the IWM. I kind of look at it as a risk on, risk off barometer. And when this is really working, people are less fearful in the market, maybe a little more greed. Don't think of greed and fear as a good or bad thing. They just are things as far as the market goes, and their emotions as far as the market goes. But what I would say is that when this is working, people are likely to stick around the wobbles a lot more than when it's not working. But this isn't a mover of markets, the IWM. I mean, there's individual stocks that are worth more than every stock in the IWM or the Russell 2000 put together ×2. So we got to keep these things in perspective. For those of you that are Dow theory fans or ever curious about Dow theory, there's a confirmation where you use the transports as an overlay signifier for possible market breakdowns. Well, transports aren't used quite like that as they used to be way back in Charles Dow day, but a lot of people use now the IWM. And see when the IWM chart and your other index charts, they're lining up closer than not closer. That's when you've really got a long-term trend intact here. So those are the kind of things that I'm thinking of here when I'm looking at these indexes and my overall swing trading stuff. How many trades do I take at a time? And if you change to a different chart, how your previous trade is dumping? If I'm day trading, I'm almost never in more than one stock at a time for a day trade. Once in a great while, maybe two. That's it though. Swing trading, I'm not, when I'm on a swing trade time frame, I mean, if it's dumping, then the whole market is going. So then I've got more to worry about than just my position, I guess. I've got a 401k and whatever else I gotta be keeping an eye on. So, I also have, a watch list, things like that. So, but a key is never take on more than you can handle, right? Trading, there's no shortcut in trading, right? It's not going to step into trading and just like, boom, I'm just going to trade 5 stocks today I've never traded before. It's not how it works. It takes time. That's all there is to it. Tools like Trade Ideas can obviously help leverage that learning curve, but there's no shortcut for being a risk manager, which is what trading really is. The scans and so on and so forth give us idea generation. And then from idea generation, we have to decide how to manage those ideas. So I don't put myself in a position that, a dump is likely to happen. You're not going to find me trading a lot of stocks also intraday wise that are, wicked low floats flying all over the place and so on and so forth. I don't like that kind of trading. It doesn't jive with my personality. I like things that be a little more methodical and slower moving for me. I like to watch setups happen. It's not that I don't ever take one of those trades, but like a HUSA, not my cup of tea. Generally speaking, this is not my cup of tea here. This one is maybe a bad example of not my cup of tea because the spread I don't think is bad on this. Yeah, the spread isn't bad on this right now. I don't like when things are real spready. I don't care for lots of topping and bottoming shadows like you see here on these. That stuff, when I see that kind of stuff, I'll shy away from it. Back here, it was a little different. You didn't have that going on there actually. So this is an example when you see, because you'll see stocks that'll move like this, but the whole day will be like that with these massive pullbacks on a percent basis and all that, and it's just not for me. It's really hard to make any kind of judgment on the money machine. What you're seeing there is, based on a lot of last price stuff, not including any kinds of spread, slippage, or anything else like that. It's not in an actual simulator, let alone a real account. So, from that perspective, yes, it looks to be profitable most days. When we can get the connection moved over to some live simulation, real simulation, we don't know how it will look yet. So we're hopeful. Obviously, we're hopeful. There's a lot of juice and development going on behind the scenes on that, but it's just hard to say what will happen once we get there. And I'm not one for speculation. So although I'm quite hopeful on it, I just couldn't possibly say what will happen once we get there as far as the money machine goes. Got rum from the VWAP 30 minutes ago. Thoughts on a day trade rum? Well, I'll tell you this. I like this right here when I see that. So it came out of this consolidation, bouncing off that VWAP, and some volume came into it. I'd be looking at this 13 level though. If we can't bust, right, I'd be concerned for taking profits. If I was here, if I'm sitting up, 35, 40 cents on this, and my time frame is intraday, if I had 100 shares and this thing is not, because look, there's no volume in that whatsoever. Yes, is there liquidity? Sure, there's liquidity, but there's no interest outside of a few general parties, right? There's not some big calling for the stock somewhere or anything like that, right? So this is the kind of thing that all of a sudden, a ripcord gets pulled on you and you're up 40 cents, and next thing you know, you're up 15 cents. Next thing you know, you're down 10 cents. Next thing you know, you're down 30 cents. And it can, look, we saw it right here off the open. It can happen just like that. So, now, as Barry would say, if I got out here and I like to set up later on, I could always get back in it. I personally, I'll say about 50% of the time when I close a trade, if I get back in that trade again, I lose almost 50% of the time. I don't know what it is. I'm very cautious about re-entering a trade. I don't like to hand money back to the market once I've collected it from the market. Thank you very much. But I think it's time for me to move on. That's not always. It's just a personal thing for me. That's all. So, if anybody that has a workable trading plan, if anybody with a workable trading plan has never gone broke from taking profits. Now, if you just randomly take profits and you don't have any trading plan, that's a, completely horse of a different color situation. But anybody with a working trading plan that they have tried, tested, and are true to, they have never, ever blown up an account from following that trading plan and taking profits. That I'm 100% sure of. So make of those things what you will. All right. I like the questions. Let's keep them coming. Don't be shy. There's, looking at a number of people here watching. Love to see more people chime in and get some more questions here, whether it's the software or a chart or two, I guess. So, all right, we did around the market real quick. It's been a long time since we did sectors. A long time. Let me see here. Let's dive around the sectors here. Let's go position and range on the year. Let's start with the losers right now. So, all right, boat, it's shipping or whatever. I don't know what to make of these ever. They always look terrible to me, the shipping stocks. Let's go back to a daily time frame. Never a fan of these. I won't say I'm never a fan of them. Price action never seems to be a fan of them on the bullish side, right? Look good. And same thing with pot stocks. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't see a viable investment in weed stocks. I mean, most people can grow it in their backyards now. So, but IYT, that's our transportation. Now it had a reset here. So hard to make a judgment off that, right? Because that's a reset or what we call decay. And that's why ETFs are tricky. Got to be careful with that kind of thing. But, chopping around here, bottomed out in December. Looks okay overall, transportation overall, right? So clearly the boats here are not really impacting that negatively. Solar stocks, clearly nobody with money believes in solar stocks. I've beaten this up nonstop. And I say this as someone who would like to believe that solar energy could be well, first of all, I think it is a good thing. I think it could be a very viable business if we could ever, really get the technology to match up with what we're looking at now. But it doesn't. It clearly doesn't. Price action shows us this. This was coming out of COVID, ridiculous. Everything was on fire and all that stuff like that. And just a multi-year breakdown now. I mean, real ugly as far as solar goes. So this is why you also don't pick bottoms, right? This is why picking bottoms is really tough, right? Because you get this move up and you get a pullback, right? And you're like, all right, we're good. We're going to bounce. Nope, we don't bounce, right? We just don't bounce. But all right, now we got a floor here, right? We're sitting up here and we're fading, just crash right through that floor, right? But now we got to have a floor here, right? And we're sitting and then we're just fading some more. So, I mean, at some point, solar industry ain't going anywhere. I don't think it is anyways. People are going to take a shot here, but it won't be with my money. That's for sure. Could you please explain the strategy trade AI block, the left bottom item? Yeah, this down here. So this is where the Holly trades live. They come in real time here. You get an entry. So there's columns. If we right click, we can go to columns. The right side is your master list. The left side is what you're displaying. You select something here and then move it over using the arrows. Or if you want to get rid of something, you select it here, move it back over to get rid of it using the arrows. So that's the short and skinny as far as that goes. And then, you get the symbols here. You can see the strategy that's here, the time that it came in, price and all that, last price, it's the current price that it is right now. We can see the changes from the entries. One of the juices I like to look at is something like the max profit. Now, this is based on a hypothetical portfolio. If I was risking $100 per Holly trade, meaning that I'm using Holly stop and saying, if the stop gets hit, I don't want to lose more than $100. And you can do that by coming on the menu bar here to tools, options, AI trade size, and then you can select through here. So you can see right here, I've got it selected to be risk based on stop loss, and we're risking 100. But you could take shares, if you want to take 100 shares, 1,000 shares, whatever, or you could say buy me $500, $1,000, $200, $270 worth of stock, so on and so forth. And you just go ahead and click save to save those changes. And so it gives you a hypothetical portfolio. And I like the max column here to see how things were done, because Holly's given us a stop and that's it. We got to figure out the rest, right? And you may not also always agree with the stop. Let's not, discount that. So let me change a few things here. I don't like the browser interface when I'm showing Holly, and let me put the Holly trades on the chart as well. Bear with me while the charts load up. And so you can see the stop loss here. And this would have been a stop loss that would have been acceptable for me. I might have even gone a little deeper than that stop loss, to be honest. But, we can see this here. Holly gets into the trade here, comes down, pierces that stop loss, right? And then it turns itself around, gets way up there before coming back down again, right? So this is where being a risk manager and a trade manager comes in, right? So I know we have spoken a few times now. There is no automated Holly. I think I told you this. I believe Steve told you that. So I suspect you're fishing for a different answer here, but you're going to get the same answer. There's no automation of Holly whatsoever. All Holly alerts are manually traded. So, those are the more than less short and skinnies than Holly. I also shared a video on Holly. I'll share that Holly video again. It goes into great detail of the interface. So there it is again. And, essentially Holly's got like 60 base strategies here. Every single night they go into this, what we call hopper, and they back test and optimize, I don't know, 10,000 times, 11, 12, 13,000 times, something like that between all the strategies. And the ones that have the best profit factor and win percentage come in to trade that day or make alerts that day. And that's what we see here. The ones that don't test well, they don't make the cut, they don't get in there. So, we can see here, like I said, ASST did real well for a hot minute there, right? RDW looked all right for a hot minute as well on the short side of things. Gone on to shake that off and lose it for now. And TEM has continued to stay looking strong for the moment. So those are the basic ins and outs as far as Holly goes. The rest is, like I said, you get some idea generation here, and from there, deciding how that does or does not fit into your plan. Tony, I'm not sure what you mean by tab. Takedown and rum and nothing new. Same here. SMR from last week still running. All right, cool. SMR from last week's email still running. All right, cool. I'm guessing these are the same person, two different accounts, or a bot. I'll figure that out shortly here. So keep the questions coming, folks. Keep the questions coming. If there's no questions, like I said, I'll get back to doing a little bit of what is available for automation. You can create your own alert windows for automation. The general path to that is you have an idea for an alert window. You build it out, back test it, optimize it. If you think it looks decent enough, you'll take that on to simulate it in automation. The simulation in automation goes well, you will then move to live trading. My suggestion when you first go to live trading is go with a small amount of shares first. Now, Rav, just give me a second and I will help you. Let me just finish up with wham yams here. So this is, my general path here. A few things I'll show you on the automation. I don't automate. Every time I've tried to automate, the strategies they never end up translating. Actually, every time I automate, the market ends up crashing is what happens every time I go live. I've got, some stuff that always looks promising, but we get to deliver. But what I do is, you go and start an alert window here. You got to make an alert window. I would suggest one alert event and then, your filters, right? And once you've got that going, you're going to back test and optimize. Let me just pull out something that I've got already. Load from cloud. Oh, here's something we messed around with last week or the week before. So I created this and we were just playing around. And so, we went and back test the strategy and you set up in the different tabs here, start time of the strategy, end time of the strategy, how long you're going to hold for it. You have to pick a hold time in the back tester. There is no option to not take a hold time. Risk management in here, how you want to set up that risk management. Please, folks, use dollars or percent. Do not, I repeat, do not use filter values for a stop or a target. Do not use those unless you are familiar with our custom formula editor. If you are not and you don't understand how to order operations and some coding, it's not going to be for you. It's an advanced thing, and that's how that stuff works if you have some coding experience. Outside of that, please stick to your percent and dollars. as far as that goes. And then you select out the amount of days you want to back test for. This will go in between 60 and 66 days, depending on how market holidays fall, because we've had a lot of market holidays recently, through Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. So we're down a few days here. You'll press simulate buy. It'll run through this whole system right here. And then you'll get some numbers here. You'll see a profit factor, your win percentage, how many trades were taken, average winner versus average loser. Now, I want to show something here. Only winning 20%, 21% of the time. But look at the spread between winners. For every 78 cents I make, I only lose 15 cents, right? That's the kind of stuff you want to see right there. Because if you had, let's say, 50-50, but you're making 20 cents for every 18 cents you're losing, that'd never work as a strategy. You'd never make money. You'd lose money between commission, spread, slippage, and everything else like that. You need a high win-loser spread rate here. Of course, I prefer to see that up towards 30 or 35%, but even like that, it looks like it could be a viable strategy. However, we come to the daily here, we see just a couple of days make this strategy look real good, and there are a lot of losing days down here. So you want to get that spread a little more even. You want to see no big days losing, only big days winning, but you want to see more winning days overall than what we got here, just a bit more than that. And then you come to the optimization tab here, and you can optimize by price, time of day, and all these things like that. And then every filter that we offer, you can optimize on all those and see how they impact it. You can change the intervals on this, things like that. So that's the short and skinny on that there. I'm looking for all the alert help index and filter index in the PDF file. So basically below 2 links is available. You get this for a help file here. If we right click and come to the configure, and if it someday wants to load, that would be awesome. There we are. You can select on any of these, press help, and you're going to get a web page that looks like this. And this is what you get for that. I would make one suggestion: if you're using this web page a lot and you're in the download software, click this gear and set it to delayed, or it's going to keep kicking you out of the software because it's one connection at a time. And this does make a connection to our servers for data here. So it won't impact you searching for these items. You get the overall help index here and here for each different item like that. And that's what we have to share on the different data points that you were asking about. Under strategies and brokerage plus, is there a specific question though, Tony, on it? Do they just see tab and then you're saying under strategies and brokerage plus? You can edit these in here. I haven't got, I was going to get there with the, this alert window here. So when we're ready for this, would have to save it and share to the cloud for the automation. And once it's saved and shared to the cloud, you right click, you go to new, go to load from cloud, and you'd go ahead and load that in here. Of course, software just wants to wonk out on me here. There we go. You'd select it, you would add it. And then once you're there, right click, edit trading strategy for the one you entered. Make sure that whatever you set up in the back tester is still there. And then you can kick a hold timeout if you don't want one. You can do that there. You can set up, risk managements here if they're not set up already for you. There's some other configurations that go on in here. And then you got to make sure you select an account, because when you have a broker, you can have multiple accounts on a broker, right? So on Brokerage Plus, we connect to a broker here. In the strategies, we select the account in the broker. Even if you only have one account, you still got to select it. And that's the short and skinny as far as that goes with automation. Oops. Chris, I'm new to the platform, have limited time in front of the screen. That is very limited time. I mean, if you have a specific question there, Road, throw it at me. Outside of that, I go over some of my swing trading scans for you and share cloud links to those, what I'm looking for. And then, yeah, Tony, real fast on the, let me know, Rhoda, if you want me to do something like that, or if you have some other general question about creating a swing scan, anything like that. And then, sorry, the general tabs in here, go over those real fast. So in here, if you've already got a trading strategy that you loaded from the cloud, you're just selecting the account here. If you have a premium account, you could start building one from here, but I would never build one from here. I'd build it from here first and save it to the cloud. Entry time is pretty straightforward here on that. When we're starting the strategy and when we're stopping it from working, in here, it's, do we want to send orders for a stock more than once on a day? Do we want to send orders if we're holding already? Do we want to limit how many times it's sent? Custom route, just pretend that doesn't exist. That's one of those pretend it doesn't exist moments. The order details here, how we're share sizing. Are we buying on fixed dollars, fixed shares? Are we basing it on our stop loss? And then how much are we risking? And then to set the size here based on that, market order, limit order. If we're going to limit order, are we using a delta offset here, down here? The time and force, all basic broker stuff that's there. Risk management, we'll pick, are we using a stop loss? Are we using a target? Again, do not use filter. I repeat, do not use a filter. Percent in dollars, that is where you live. Same on the target, percent in dollars. You cannot have a trailing stop and a regular stop at the same time. If you can't do it in your broker, you can't do it on this, right? Because this is sending the orders to the broker. But it has to obey market mechanics. You cannot have a trailing stop and a hard stop at the same time. It doesn't exist. And then hold time. You've got intraday or multiple day holds here that you can choose. You can set it at a specific time, X amount of minutes after the entry, so on and so forth. Can I imagine an AI that does everything? No, I can't. I can't. I know everybody would love to see that. It kind of boggles my mind how many people think that exists already. But no, I cannot see that ever happening. That there'll be an AI, you simply press play and it makes you money. Think about that. If that were to happen, right? Everybody would just do that and then go play golf or hike all day long, and then just come back and count their money every day, right? Nothing like that will ever. I don't believe that anything like that will ever happen. It would make the stock market an easy place, and everybody knows the stock market is anything but easy. So no, I can't ever see that happening. Sorry. Yeah, so Tony, that box is there that's saying that, let's just say that I had a position in Apple, right? I've got a core position in Apple that I've got. And then also my auto strategy picks Apple to send an order for, right? Well, that's the point of that box. Either tell it, yes, continue to trade Apple with this strategy on top of my core position, or don't trade Apple on top of my core position on the strategy. That's what that would be for, Tony. So, because, some people aren't going to want to mess around with their core position. They're going to say, nope, I don't want, I got core position there and that's it. I don't want to touch that. Other people are happy to, it won't impact them and they're fine with that too. So this depends on different accounts and things of that nature. So that's what that's there for, to give that option essentially. So nobody is, what's the word I'm looking for? Cost bias. So they're not impacting their cost basis, excuse me. So yeah, real quick here, let's, I'm going to get out of this view, this tree map here, and I'm going to put this scan first. Let's go file, load from cloud, my evening scan. We're going to share that. And so you can copy this cloud link and go to file, load from cloud, and you can load the scan and then right away go ahead and save it. So you're pretty new, you said, I think. So you're going to copy that link that I gave you and you're going to go to file, load from cloud, and it'll probably auto paste in here. But if it doesn't auto paste in here, you just go ahead and paste that in here and you'll press load and that'll load the scan right here for you. Once that's loaded, I want you to go ahead and right click the scan, go to save or share to cloud, and then just go ahead and save it. And then you'll find it, file, load from cloud, and in here up at the top with anything else that you'll save to the cloud here. So that's the first step that I want to do with that. I'm going to share more scans in a second, but I want to go over what these scans are doing. So what I've done here is in the configure, and I do most of this, use the scan mostly towards the end of the market day and the night before the market opens as like kind of homework and what I think I may like or want to take a position in. What I've done here is I said, all right, scan, let's find stocks that are $11 or more. They have a relative volume of 1 and traded at least 750,000 shares to this point of the day. They're 75% above the low of the 20-day range. So I want to see stuff that's potentially breaking out over 20 days. And then they're 75% above the low of today's range. So not only are they potentially breaking out over 20 days, but we either closing strong or did close on the strong side for the day today. And then I'm looking for stuff that looks like, go through. So some stuff in here I will like and some stuff I won't. So we'll see how this goes. You know, and then just I go through chart by chart by chart. So like, nah, I'm not overly crazy about this. Like, yeah, you know, it's off the very bottom of it, but I'd want to see that breaking out up here before I'd be interested in that. But that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Is if we had price action a little higher on that, we're trending more. But let's see what else we can find. DNA, same idea, the DNA there, BSAT. Now, if this were to consolidate a day or two more, then I'd be interested in this, especially because let's look at it here. Let's draw a line right here. And so we can see we've cleared some resistance of this area back here already, you know, in this spongy area right there. So we're already clearing that, and we've got a little bit of mountain to climb here. So I'd need a day or two more consolidation because I didn't get, you know, I don't want to go chasing it here up a couple of dollars on the day like that. But that's, you know, working closer to what I'm looking for. CNH, yeah, I like this, but I would be, again, late to the party here. It's a newer issue stock too, so you got to keep that in mind. I'm going to find something nicer. I'm confident. BCS, nah, it's Barclays. I knew that already. XP, yeah, same thing. These are weird ETFs, not weird ETFs, but I like that chart overall. I did like that chart. This is one I like here. You know, train a little bit leaving the station on us today, but nothing crazy. It's probably got a large float on it, I bet. Yeah, 300 million in the float. I kind of could tell by the price action, but you know, we're cleared 16. You know, energy overall has been a bit strong for a couple of weeks here, a month or so, and we cleared that here. Those two, we've cleared 16. This is the kind of thing I'm looking for here, making a breakout. BEO, is this Aeropostale? The 1990 again? Oh, American Eagle, same thing. 1998 again. This is a terrible looking chart. I don't like anything about that chart. SoFi. I like this here. Again, a little, no, I won't even say late. I like this. I like this chart. You know, we get this big run up. Breaks down a bit. Whoopsie under that 15 level. Bouncing back. I like that. So this is the kind of stuff that I do towards the end of the day. Another good chart. My only problem is a pharmaceutical company, and you know, anybody that knows anything about trading in pharmaceutical companies and holding these overnight, I mean, you could have that happen to you real fast. That's really bad. See what Penn looks like. Man, not a great looking chart. TAA. We'll do one or two more charts. Sorry, I see some other stuff coming in. I apologize. This was probably on here a day or two ago. So a bit of a chase now for me. I needed to sit. This is going to be more energy. ET's energy. I know that for sure. Another good look here. You know, that 20 level now busting back out of that 20 level. It's a big float though, real big float though. But, you know, I can say one thing with the big float when you've got such limited time, unless something really wild happens, like a pandemic, for example, this stock, you're not going to find it down like $4 overnight or something like that. It would be really, really unusual to see a stock like that. You're also not going to see it up $4 overnight either. But, you know, you don't get the heart attack to this side while not getting the thrill on this side, and slow and steady wins the race kind of thing. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for on that. Some of these stocks are already on the short squeeze potential, by the way. Oh, interesting. All right. That's good enough. That's good enough. Thank you for sharing that. Here's another scan that I really like. And I use this scan as a twofold. Time high. I'm going to share this scan. So go ahead and same thing. Copy that link. Anybody that wants it, save it. Save the scan itself to your cloud. and it calls position lifetime range here. What I did with this scan is I said, let's find stocks that are between or that are above $8. They traded at least a million shares on the day and have a relative volume of one, and they're 85% above their lifetime low. So I want to see stuff that's potentially hitting all-time highs. Now, two things I do with the scan. First thing is when the overall indexes start to look bearish, I look at the scan and how many stocks at the end of the day are populating on this. When this list is real short, I'm feeling more bearish because the way this works is stocks move, then indexes move. They do not move in unison like that, right? When you get a huge conglomerate of stocks that start to move, then you will see the indexes follow suit afterwards. So that's how that goes. So this helps me gauge some bullish bearishness as far as price action goes. Then I start to go through these things and try to find some charts that I like. So for example, this is a buyout. Corning's a buyout, right? No, Corning's not a buyout. Right. This is Corningware. I mean, look at this. Look at that beautiful breakout happening right here. We got this beautiful consolidation. You had doom and gloomers right here talking the market's going to crash. It's over. The Fed devalued the dollar, blah, 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 whatever crying crap they've been doing for 15 years or whatever it is. And they'll continue to cry, while not making any money, and that's fine by me. And then all of a sudden, we didn't crash, right? Oh, it's a miracle. We didn't crash. Shock. And then this bust over $50. It's beautiful. It's a lifetime high here. No short float to talk about it, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at right here. While everybody was crying about the market, I won't say everybody, but while you have those doom and gloomers that all they do is sell newsletters, they don't really trade or manage money, we didn't crash, right? And this stayed strong in the face of that. And now it's breaking back out, right? That's a good one to be looking at. ARCC, honorable mention, I own a lot of this stock, but I own it for its dividend, to be honest. Another beautiful one here, breaking above this level on 22 and really just kind of leaving the train station behind, making new all-time highs here. Now, I just own it for a dividend, and I've owned it for a long time, and I add to this position every single month. So make of that what you will, but the chart itself looks decent here. This isn't something I'd be going and buying as a swing trade, though. But the chart is what I want to illustrate here, not the stock. The chart is what I'm really after. I'm looking at good charts to show you. CLS. Again, here. And you got to figure any of these stocks here that are 100 plus, they've been on the scan for days, if not weeks, right? So the setups have been here for a long time for us to look at. So if we scroll down here, let's find some stuff that, on this position lifetime range that aren't quite there yet. But let's take a look here. So the financials, XLF, all right? Again, we're really thinking chart here versus what the stock actually is. This is an ETF. This represents your financials here. But again, we moved up, gap up. We filled the gap. We're getting going again here. And just again, for all my bears out there, I do love you bears. I love perma bears. I really do love you perma bears. If we were on the verge of a collapse, would the financials be at all-time highs? I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real, folks. Let's see what else we can find here. OWL, what are you? I feel like this is an ETF also. Yeah, well, all right, Blue Owl Capital. But again, another nice looking chart here. Consolidating, we've got some gyrations in prices. We got a whoopsie moment here, but we're consolidating for a while. This is the kind of setup now I'd be looking at personally. I'd be trying to see us take out that 25.75 level, 24.75 level. You don't want to get caught up in, so many days up in a row, and then you run out of steam here. So I want to see consolidation push up on that 24.75, 25 level. That's how we look for setups there. In B plus added automated strat paper trading, started using it today after a week of use. B plus have data for a week or only data for review. So I'm trying to. So this is what I would do, Tony. The calendar doesn't work, and we're moving it. We haven't been able to get to work, and for whatever reason, it's no longer a priority. So the calendar, I assume this is the calendar you're talking about. It's broken. It doesn't work right. I'm sorry. I'm not a developer, and there's really nothing I could do about it. It was, half done, and the person that was working on it They're not working on it anymore. What I do is this, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to get some automated strategies going, and I'm in a simulated account with them. And so I just check the account values here. And so, I've got this one, it's started at 100,000, it's at 1,600. This one's at 1,700. This one's at, looking at it from the 1,000 point here, and this one's only up $158. That's it right now. And that's how I track that essentially. That's what I would be doing. And then I also run the back test every couple of days to see how the back test looks as well on those strategies. And I'll be honest, maybe the end of January, maybe in another 10 days or so, I might be going live with some of these, but I don't know. I just don't know until I get them in there like that. So that's what I would be doing. And that's how I'm doing it anyways. And then when I go live, I won't be going at, let's just say that the strategy, when it's like, quote, full board open live, it's supposed to take 100 shares at a time. I would never jump right out at that 100 shares. I would jump out at, like, let's say 10 shares or something. So if something does go wrong live, I'm not getting real punished bad, right? And then if 10 shares works for like 2 days, let's say, I'll go up to 20 shares. And if that works for a day, I'm going to go up to 40 shares and so on and so forth like that. And then when I load your scans, they're all floating windows. So once I arrange them where I want them, I can save in a way so when I close open, they're in the same position. Yeah, so what you're going to do is this. There's a few different ways, a few different thoughts on saving. And yes, I'll share those scans with you in a second there. Just bear with me, hang out for a few minutes here, and I'll get right and I'll share those out. Okay, so if we go when you get your windows all arranged, if you have a setup that you want it every time I open trade ideas, this is how I want it to open. You're going to go File, Save Layout, and you're going to go to a window that looks like this and just select the default _layout in all capitals. You'll see it loads here. Sometimes it'll be there already. And then if you press save, this will be the layout that loads exactly as you saved it every time you start trade ideas. You could also make different layouts. So you could go, for example, I don't think anybody should ever run a pre-market scan during regular hours. There's no reason to take up that bandwidth. There's no reason to have data on your screen you're not going to use. It's a waste of resources both in your brain and on your machine. So I suggest a pre-market layout for pre-market, post-market layout for post-market, right? And in a case like that, I go File, Save Layout, and this was my pre-market layout. I would go ahead and name it pre-market, and then it'll be here. I'd save it, and then if I go File, Load Layout, I do have a pre-market layout. It's not a real one. I just did it as an example one day because I do not trade the pre-market. I don't look at the pre-market. I don't care about the pre-market personally. That's just a personal thing. But here it is here. If I wanted to load that, that's how I'd load that. Now, that's a local save. It should back everything up to the cloud. So every scan, chart, whatever you have set up that you want to keep, right click, save or share to cloud, save them all. Then once you've done that, I would do this. I would go File, Save or Share to Cloud up here. I would click Entire Layout, then name it Layout and give it a date or whatever you want to call it, and then save it. And then you'll have all your scans backed up to the cloud individually. Plus, you will also have, a backup of your layout in the cloud as well. And you can always load from the cloud too. That's once it's there, it's there. And each thing that's loaded into the cloud and saved has an icon representing what it is. So alert windows are A's. These check mark things are our compare count windows. This TI will mean it's either a conglomerate of windows or it's a layout. If you see an M, it's a multi-window, a T, it's a top list, so on and so forth. So like you see these scans here, they're top lists. And that's why they got that T there in the top left corner. You were asking, here's the strategies that I'm hopeful that may work in automating. Let me find them. Bear with me. These two are almost exactly the same. There's just a slight difference. I'll go over them real fast in a second. Copy. These ones I'm not overly optimistic. It's just that they've looked exactly the same since I started working on them in July. Which one did I just share? What was that one? Share. All right, yeah. And then this here. And so to give you an idea now, remember I talked about you want to have a big spread between winners and losers. These unfortunately do not. And that's my concern with these not working. So back test the strategy here. I'm not going to go over all this. You know what? Sharing this is tricky because it uses a custom filter that won't transfer. So you're gonna have to figure out what you want to use for stop loss here, but I can't transfer this to you. This is a custom stop that it created. It's just looking at today's low minus a few cents. So go ahead and change that to like a 3% stop or something like that. Press simulate buy. And this is why I'm mildly hopeful, but not over optimistic. Right now it's a 25-cent winner and a 20-cent loser. Up until about 2 weeks ago, this was 26 and this was 15. So there's an 11-cent spread there. It's closed down big time recently. We look at the daily spread here, and we can see what's going on with that. 17th had a decent day here, but there's some decent winning days and losing days. So this has looked very similar since the end of July when I did this. So that's why I'm hopeful. My hope is faded because this is closed in on itself, and that's not good because if you got spreads, it simply ain't going to work, and that's how it goes. So, I can't say what it will do live for now, but that's, anyways, I shared them both. The difference is I think there's a beta filter in one and not in another. No, standard deviation. I don't know where that goes. Somewhere in here. S&P change, spread, pivot, next price, NASDAQ. I don't know. There's some filter in here that's slightly different than the other scan that I shared. So those are the two of them. They're, what they end up doing, I can't say or not. Part of me is hopeful because they've looked the same for a long time, and we did have a bit of a sell-off and some chop. So I'm hopeful in the sense that if and when, it's not if, but when we trend up again, they'll look good on a trending market again, an uptrending market. So we'll see. And then there was one more scan I wanted to share for swing trading. What the heck was it now? There's my menu bar. Note from cloud. And yes, it's long only. And one caution to the wind with backtesting and optimizing. Do not over optimize. That means like all of a sudden you optimize and you've added you got 20 filters in that scan, 25 filters are nailed down to really exact values and minimum and maximum, and it'll back test great and then it'll fall apart. And it's called curve fitting, right? That we fit it perfect for the prior data, but it no longer stays valid in new data. So it's that fine line between optimizing and over optimizing the scan. What was another scan I was looking at? I don't really use it anymore. Oh, I know what it is. Bear with me. Strong options in 20 days. So this scan here, it's very similar to my evening scan, but what I did was this, and give me a second, I'll get your cloud link to it. I said, we want stocks between $10 and $100. You could change that, of course. Relative volume of one, traded 1.25 million shares so far in the day, and they're 75% above the low of today's range, to 20-day range. But there is no today's range on this, like I did on the other, my evening one. But then what I did is I said, I want these sorted on the ones that have the highest volume and option percent today based on a 10-day average. I want those coming on the scan first. And then on the display, I want those displayed at the top. So this way we've got stuff that is interested, with high interest in the options market today. And then I put a bunch of columns in here as well. So you can see, the options data that we're displaying, the put call ratio, the volume in contracts and put contracts and call contracts, so on and so forth. And some of this is based on averages, some of it's based on actual contracts. And, same thing as before. I'm going through charts and saying, do I like, do I not like, so on and so forth. Let me go ahead and share that out. File, load from cloud. I don't use this anymore. I used it for a short period of time, was experimenting. I'm not an options trader. I know very little about options. Options. Strong options in 20 days. Share. Copy, paste. There you go. So there's that one as well. All right. We are at 1 o'clock. If I get, legit questions on the platform here, I will see. I do this, or we do this, noon Eastern to 1 Eastern. If you have, as a crowd, more questions for me, I will stick around. I will answer those questions. If not, I will begin to wrap up and exit for the day. But I'll give it an auctioneer's count in my head on that. I like doing this. I like answering questions. I like helping folks as far as the software goes. So I'm happy to stick around if there's questions. Just if there's no questions, not going to fill dead air time. That's all. We have our traders room where you can, if you're just looking for market talk and commentary and back and forth with traders, we have the traders room for that. So I'm going to give it another moment here. Do we do this every day live? Yes, every market day, noon Eastern, we are live doing this. Everybody, there's 4 of us actually doing it now. Our CEO is doing Wednesdays, so unless something's changed, you'll see our CEO tomorrow. There's a few of us that do this on a daily basis. I don't have any pre-market scans. That pre-market that I said existed, it was just an example that I did. It wasn't a real pre-market. I just named a file pre-market to showcase that. I don't do anything in the pre-market, to be honest. We do have a pre-market channel. We have 2 of them, docked and non-docked. They're slightly different. So if you go new, channel bar, you come across pre-market here and post-market. And if you go new, docked channel bar, pre-market, you got to hit the show more. Both have a show more, and pre-market's down there. For the most part, if it's moving in the pre-market, you'll see it there. But I'm not a pre-market person. I did do a video recently on pre-market scanning. Want people to understand how the software works pre-market and things like that, and some thoughts behind it. So it's a video I did on pre-market scanning there. You're welcome to that video. Bookmark that and check it out at your own leisure. There are certain filters and alerts that we have that do not work in the pre-market. So I cover that in there. And there's a PDF you can email me for, info@trade-ideas.com. And you say, hey, I'm looking for that PDF on what does and doesn't work in the pre-market. We'll shoot that right over to you. info@trade-ideas.com. And you can get general support over at that email address too. So there it is. Traders Room runs from 9 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern, give or take. It does open technically earlier than that, but Barry isn't there before that. So it's just a lot of the veterans in the room talking markets and stuff like that. Nobody in there is telling anybody what to buy, sell, hold. There's no trading advice going on in that room whatsoever. Barry does not allow for it. There's a few longtime users that he has helped kind of moderate the room as well. There's no shenanigans that go in there. Anybody that comes in there and starts trying to pump stocks, you're just going to get kicked out real fast, and your IP will be banned, and it'll be real simple like that. People share some scans in there. They're talking markets. They're saying, hey, I'm seeing stock XYZ from a scan, or I'm seeing it break this channel, or I like it above this SMA. And they're talking ideas, but nobody is saying, oh, everybody, let's buy this stock or whatever. That's the login for the room. It's open right now. There's a few hundred people in there. Just confirmed. So it's all good working there. What else? Am I missing anything else, folks? What else am I missing here? Again, if you've got questions, do not be shy. Please, please, please get those questions into me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. Folks that are watching through Twitter, there's a YouTube side to this here. So, I'd always welcome you to join on the YouTube side where you can interact a lot more. You can find that, I'll bring over a web page so we can see it together. YouTube at Trade Ideas. That's the one and only Trade Ideas. Anybody else is fake. People trying to steal our name or steal our thunder through our name. If you come under live, you'll see it. Well, it's here right now, and you'll see it live here. So I'd encourage any of you on the YouTube side, on the Twitter side, come on over and join us here on the YouTube side where you can ask questions and get live answers and all that kind of stuff like that. So, all right, no other questions are coming in. I put the link for the room there. If you are not in our traders room, you are doing yourself a disservice. It is free to anyone, regardless of subscription to Trade Ideas software. We believe that if you hang out in that room long enough and you are a serious individual about trading, you'll want to subscribe to the software. We truly believe that. We believe in what we're doing here. Management team has put together a pretty good, we're a pretty good team over here. Really enjoy the folks that I work with here. A lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas. And so between the traders room, these live streams, you get your money's worth. Rhoda, as I mentioned before, I don't have pre-market scans. What I showed before, there's no pre-market. I just named a file pre-market as an example. I don't scan in the pre-market. I don't do anything in the pre-market, but I shared a video. I went over in the channel bar here, new channel bar. You have pre-market scans in the channel bar here, and also in the doc channel bar, new doc channel bar. Click show more, and you'll have pre-market scans there as well. I don't scan the pre-market. I don't have anything for you on the pre-market. Sorry. I also shared a video for the pre-market about scan building in the pre-market. I'll share that video again. Here's that video one more time. If you can confirm you just got, if you heard all that I just said, please, before I wrap up in a moment. And again, anybody not in our traders room, as I was mentioning before, you're doing yourself a disservice. The link is there for you. Please, if you have no other questions here right now, I'd recommend just heading into that traders room now. So give it another second here. You got, all right, perfect, Road. Thank you for confirming that. So, all right, folks, that's going to be a wrap for me today on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. As I mentioned, our CEO, Dan, will be doing this tomorrow. He's always got some good stuff, showing some different things down the pipeline. And, he's always in the lab. So he comes out of the lab for you folks on Wednesdays. A great brain to pick for markets in general, but let alone the software and the stuff coming down the pipeline. And Thursday, Friday will be a mix of Andy and or Steve on those days. Get you another perspective and another voice on the software. So, all right, thanks for watching, folks. We will see you on the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your Tuesday.